the
Good evening, teacher. Good evening, classmates. I'm going to talk about the Peruvian food and their qualities. I hope you like my presentation. In the first presentation, we have the coast. The coast is a place interesting and beautiful because not only have culture, it's not also a lot of sea dish. For example, ceviche. Ceviche is our flat dish. It is now here in the world. Yes, in the world. But not only it's hot, also we had other criollo dish. For example, cabrito, arroz con pato, rocoto relleno, escabeche de pollo, causa, etc. The Peru is a country that offer your product. For that, we invite you to eat our Peruvian products. In the highland, the food is different than the coast. We had other class of food based on meal and other type of meal like corn, ram. The food is more roasted because the people produce his food in its prepared handmade, only handmade, very different. But in the selva, the food is best for a product different. Is different products is considered un aphrodisiac. For example, between in the food we had Juanes, picadito de paiche, tacacho, other dish. For that you must know Peru and your different meal. because in every region the food is different but delicious. Thank you.
I'm going to talk about the activity in a zone rural and a zone urban. First, you can watch. How is the zone rural? They engage in raising some animals. For example, guinea pigs, chickens, ducks, sheep, pigs, horses, crows. The main activities are livestock. They also engage in this activity to support their family. People work in different crops per season. They produce different kinds of fruit, vegetables during all year. Their crops are irrigated with water from a river. Also, it's important to mention that children and adolescents come to play golf in his spare time, interact between them. Also, they support the work activities to their parents. To difference of the zone urban, the main activities in a zone urban, the people live in departments where, in general, people of Monday to Friday is dedicated to work. Their jobs are inside of the office. When they want to buy their food, they go to the supermarket because they
Well, we know that life between urban and rural areas is totally different for many reasons, like infrastructure, economy, education, customs, food, people, and the different kind of transportation. Because if we talk about how people travel in rural areas, we can't say that they used to drive cars. In fact, rural areas are livable places, and inhabitants have several ways to survive and move by their own. Those people used to walk from one place to another, from home to work, or wherever they want to go, as the well-known people who were called chapkis, that used to walk for long distance to share some kind of information. People also used to ride animals there, as cattle, horses, donkeys, which helped to do the trip a little bit easier. In addition, there are some people who are still riding horses, such as transportation in many of those areas. But through the years, people have found out different ways to deal with that situation. For instance, they've started to use bicycles and another kind of bicycles with 3 wheels driven by a man which can carry on more than one person. Others used to travel in small boats in areas near to the Amazon. Others used to drive an old truck, and well, now there are motorcycles, motor taxis, and a specific bus that carry animals, bags of food, and many other people's stuff. On the other hand, we have the urban area, as Lima and districts near to a metropolitan place, which have got different kind of transportation to go anywhere. At first, people have used to get on cars a particular way. Now we have taxis and buses to go on specific spots, because there are a grade of them, which have different routes for everybody. Of course, that helps us a lot to get quickly to our destination, but at the same time that makes a chaotic life. I mean, the great amount of cars, buses, and motorcycles create a terrible traffic jam that makes, how I said, an uncomfortable commute and a plenty of accidents every day. For that reason, the government is trying to handle the situation with new buses which will take a place of all and informal cares. Moreover, we've got electric trains that were created to help people to be on time wherever they want to go, to commute safer without the fear of being harmed. But of course, those are not the only kind of transportation that we have yet, because there were made the Metropolitano, expressways, big boats, airplanes, and a subway, which will be built by 2018 to give us more than one option to commute faster.
The participation of the rural population is one of the least discussed of the information society. Society is an interconnected global, social and urban. The exclusion of rural residents is greater than the of urban society groups. The city used to be the opposite of the field. Today, the field is opposite of cyberspace. Rural areas rely more on natural resource exploitation and in the absence of streets and pollution. Consequently, have better health. However, in urban areas, people benefit from the advantage of man in technology. A big problem is technology and education, as the cost of buying equipment programs for community with very low monetary income is very costly. Connect at the school in a rural area costs tens of times more than connecting one in an urban area. Nowadays, schools in rural areas don't have a good quality in order to teach and give to the student a high education. Other problem in urban areas is the transportation. The Ministry of Education launched the Sociality Pathways Program, an initiative that provides bikes to school from 5th grades and all secondary or high school. This to greatly reduce the time it takes them to reach their school and have more time in order to get more class. The problem is not only economic. Lack of basic infrastructure such as reliable electricity, telephone connectivity possibilities or otherwise become even greater obstacles. 20% of rural towns still have electricity and only 4% of the population in rural areas of the country, according to OSIPTEL, have or access to the highland or mobile phone, which is described as an unacceptable situation which shows little investment in rural telecommunication. The rural poverty reaches 48%. This means that 1 of 2 Peruvians who live in rural areas are poor. In the rural highlands, 2,9% are poor, while the Lima metropolitan only 12,000. Seeing these figures, we can conclude the reason why we don't invest in quality education and technology in rural areas because they think that people can afford this kind of high quality technology and education.
Now I am going to talk about education. Then I made difference between rural and urban places. Education can be broken down into 3 areas: policy, coverage, and quality. Policies ensure the right to education. Coverage provides the access, and quality makes it meaningful. All 3 of these need to be in alignment to truly have a great education system. First, policies. The highest law of the land, the Peruvian Constitution, provides that education is compulsory and free in public school for initial 3 years, primary 6 years, and secondary 5 years. Coverage. Overall, Peru is providing better coverage of its education systems when compared to Latin America as a whole. It has 100% enrollment in 2002 of primary school age children. This is greater than Latin American and 93%. According to the data, Peru falls a little short when it comes to secondary, at 67% compared to 69%. However, that trend has been increasing from 61% in 1998 to 67% in 2007. Third, quality. This is where Peru falls down. The program for international student assessments performed in both high and low income countries focus on reading, mathematics, and science of students aged 15. Revealed that Peru was the worst performing country that participated. Although there are many circumstances that have distorted this result, overall it is safe to say that the education a Peruvian students receive is not that great. This is a very superficial analysis of the education system in Peru. However, it is a great starting point and begs the question: with a finite amount of resources, is it better to have a little coverage with a greater impact or larger coverage with a more dilute effect? In my opinion, Peru has it right. Education is a human right. At birth, everyone has an inherent right to be able to improve themselves regardless of circumstance. Having good coverage provides access for someone to reach their potential. The education is very important because helps the development of the person and the society, and especially to children's intellectual growth, which is the base of the country, so that we have to invest in education. The education in rural places. The education in rural places have advantage and disadvantage too. One advantage could be the responsibility of their students. Also, those students want to be the best, but the low investment of the government and low income of the people doesn't allow the development of them. Other advantage is that there are provisions and the endeavor of the students. One disadvantage is that there are schools, but they are so far, and the students can go because they have to do other things. For example, help their parents or care the animals, which is the base of their economy, especially from their parents. In rural places, there is a program called Caliwarma, which help the mental develop to improve the children's capacity intellectual. The principal action of this program is give meal at children so they can it to be strong and steady. Now I am going to talk about the education in urban places. Maybe the urban education could be better than the rural education because you have near technology, better teacher, books, electronic books, better school, better universities, infrastructure, and more. In urban cities, the family promotes their children to study with the finally to be professional and will have a good life conditions. But urban cities have disadvantage too. For example, there are delinquency and some boys and girls see it nice. Other problem is the alcohol. Some children consume it since 11 or 12 years. It's so dangerous and don't permit the develop of them. In some cases, the parents don't collaborate the develop of their children. And this is the big mistake because the children need education to be best to invest in Peru.